G'day and welcome to ReDriven. Now, 2021 was an amazing year for us. It was our first year of existence, and the response we've received from you guys has genuinely blown our minds. Like, we thought if we could get maybe 1,000 subscribers and 100,000 views in that first 12 months, that would be amazing. So to be sitting at nearly 50,000 subscribers and over 3.5 million views, like, honestly, just a massive thank you. Thank you so much.
So, as a celebration of 2021 and ReDriven's first year, we thought we'd go through our top 5 cars of the year.
Now look, there's no specific criteria for these cars, only that these are the cars that we fell in love with this year, and they're cars that we would love to see sitting in our garage on a full-time basis.
So let's get into it, our top 5 cars of 2021.
Okay, kicking things off for me, it's the Land Rover Discovery 4. The Disco 4 has to be our most polarising video so far. Like, if you read through the comments, it's a near 50-50 split between owners that adore the Disco 4s versus those that despise them and nearly ended up going bankrupt due to the relentless repair bills. The Disco 4 that we reviewed is actually owned by a mate of mine's dad, and he's taken it around Australia. He's towed boats and caravans with it. It spends huge amounts of time on the sand dunes or on the beach or exploring the wilderness. Yet at the same time, he takes his clients to very swanky business meetings in it on a regular basis, and it does all of this convincingly. Okay, look, yes, it has had a few issues along the way, which have all been resolved, but it's never broken down as such. And in the week or so that I had it, it completely won me over. Yes, a Disco 4 is a risky car to buy, as catastrophic failures can and unfortunately do occur. But taking that on board, if you can find a thoroughly serviced and loved example with minimal kilometres on it, there are very few other cars out there that do everything as well as the Disco 4, as long as it doesn't break down. And look guys, it's important to let you know that I'm completely jaded with all the bullshit that surrounds luxury brands, hence why I'm a massive fan of Seiko and just couldn't care less about Rolex. And I'll be honest, I wanted to hate the Disco 4 before we reviewed it because Land Rover as a brand are generally, associated with luxury brands, and I can't stand that stuff. But guys, it's a genuinely fantastic vehicle when it's working.
In 5th place for me, it's the Triton. Because I'm always towing a car trailer or something, or picking up parts, or general workshop activities, I've got to have a ute. And out of the ones we reviewed this year, the Amarok, the Ranger, the Hilux, the Navara and the Triton, I picked the Triton. Look, on paper, they're all basically the same. They're all good, but also they're all a bit shit in their own way. The Triton wins for me because I think it represents better value for money out of all the other dual cab utes, and out of the ones I see in the workshop, mechanically, they're slightly less trouble than the others.
Okay, in 4th place for me, it's another manufacturer that is commonly associated with luxury brand names, but this thing is the real deal. It's the Lotus Exige. Full transparency here, I've been fortunate to have a bit of a history with Lotus, and the guys at the Lotus importer for Australia, Simply Sports Cars, are just phenomenal to work with. I'm also happy to accept that what Lotus have been making in terms of the Elise and the Exige especially, they're not for everybody, and they are far from perfect. But for me, this is part of what makes them so fulfilling to drive. It's like hot sauce. See, I love hot sauce because it's challenging and it makes you feel alive, but quite often it's generally not that pleasant and can sometimes be completely inappropriate. But again, that's part of the reason that I love it. Both the Exige and the hot sauce. The particular Exige that we had was set up more for road use than track and was completely sublime. See, for me, it's the contact points that win me over more than anything. The way the steering feels, the weight of the pedals and how everything responds to them, the feeling in the seat of your pants. And this Exige, it was such a raw and visceral delivery of driving communication. It was a bit like having Gordon Ramsay swearing and carrying on and cooking a meal just for you in your kitchen like 40 centimetres away. It would be completely exhilarating and you know you're going to be unbelievably satisfied at the end. I also love that because there's a lack of creature comforts and it's a bit rattly, and even in its most subtle of setups, it's still so raw. It's just way less wanky than, say, a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. And look, this might sound arrogant, but I know from experience, the Exige is just more outright fun than both of those as well.
Okay, the next one on my list is only here because we haven't reviewed the GR Yaris yet. It's the EVO 9. And the one we reviewed is absolutely mental. Ridiculous horsepower combined with a Hollinger sequential transmission and a well-sorted chassis makes for a track day weapon. And a car like that, you can do everything from hill climbs to roll racing and time attack. Just so much fun. Look, I know Adam touched on this in the video, but that EVO, when I got out of it, I was shaking and I haven't been the same since.
Okay, I was expecting this next car to be good, but it exceeded even my lofty expectations. It's the Lexus IS F. Chris Harris was talking about hypercars recently, and he made a comment that for me nails the Lexus IS F. He basically said that if history tells us anything, the car that starts out as a bit boring and a bit of an underdog commonly emerges as being the more complete package. See, when the ISF came out, it was commonly compared to BMW's M3 and the AMG C63, but it was always seen as a bit of an underdog versus those two Germans. And while both of those cars are still undoubtedly excellent, these days, after a few years, it's the ISF that I'd choose to take home from these three. This ISF is owned by a mate of mine who is an absolute car fanatic and has owned loads of lovely vehicles, and he's still blown away at how good his ISF is. I personally loved it because it's somehow both a lovely balance of stuff, like as in aspects like the engine doesn't dominate the chassis, but at the same time, it's just the right amount of mad. It has the perfect amount of power for Aussie roads, it rides beautifully, being a Lexus, it's built like a tank, the steering feel is great, and it completely flies under the radar with only those in the know knowing how special it is. And that right there for me is the epitome of cool. Okay, look, the rear legroom is a bit of a joke for a car that's supposed to sit for adults, and the gearbox could be a little bit more responsive, but besides that, it's a very, very special thing, and surely it's a future classic.
In third place, it's a Toyota Prado. I need a family truckster. Currently, I've got a Toyota Kluger, which is actually really great, but it is lacking four-wheel drive capabilities. That's why I chose the Prado. It's everything I need to haul around my halflings, their friends, and all the other scooters and skateboards and crap you have to take everywhere when you've got kids. It's also perfect for a blast up the beach, and it's awesome for a day in the bush. It's also a good long-haul tow rig for motorsport activities.
Okay, in second place, the only reason I didn't buy this car is because I'm putting all of my money into building ReDriven, but as soon as I can afford it, I am buying one of these. It's the FJ Cruiser. Okay, look, yes, the looks are polarizing, and I know this because my partner is not a fan of the looks at all, but I personally love them, especially the one we reviewed. Finding the right balance when modifying a car can be a challenge, but whoever modified this thing, they nailed it. I spent nearly as much time looking at it sitting in my garage as I did driving it, and my only regret is that we couldn't take it off-road and put it through its paces. Let's be honest, normally SUVs can be a bit boring or at best take themselves far too seriously, but the FJ is just fun. Even around town, grabbing the groceries, picking up coffee, every trip is its own little adventure. Add on to that its incredible reputation for reliability and its ability to tackle a huge range of terrains. I would love one of these things in my garage. The comments section for the FJ video is nearly the opposite to the Disco 4, with the vast majority of owners raving about how much they love their FJ, and I completely get it, it's an awesome thing.
In second place for me, it's the Mazda MX-5. As I mentioned earlier, I have kids, and most of the time they're pretty decent humans. And for those of you who are watching that are also parents, you'll understand my next choice. I chose the MX-5 because it has no back seats, and there's no room for your kids. See what I did there? I mean, it's also great fun to drive and excellent value for money, but primarily I chose it because it has no back seats.
Now guys, if you've already subscribed to this channel or you've already given us a thumbs up, I can't thank you enough. Like we appreciate it more than you know. But if you haven't subscribed and if you haven't thrown us a thumbs up, can you please do so? That'd be great. And also, can you go and follow us on the socials and maybe tell your friends about ReDriven and share this video, because the more you do of all that sort of stuff, the more of these videos we can make. And in first place for me, it is the Chevrolet/Holden Cruze. No, it's not. That thing was a complete piece of shit. It's the Toyota 86. Now, this particular car was between owners for the couple of weeks that we had it, as it had been traded in by a dealership and it was on its way to a wholesaler. So we had no pressure to say anything nice about it, as there was no chance of offending anyone if we tore it apart in the review video. But guys, talk about a car that wriggles its way under your skin and has you smitten in a couple of days. Guys, I still miss this car. Out of everything I drove this year, it was this and the FJ that are the only cars that I almost physically crave to drive again. I made a comment in the Porsche Macan video that the Macan feels special no matter what speed you're driving at. Well, look, the 86 is the same. Even reverse parking feels lovely. You don't have to drive it that fast to feel engaged, but when you do push it, it just gets better and better. And look, even though it's clearly a sports car, it's still perfectly suited to be an everyday driver as well. It's actually pretty practical, it's super affordable to buy, it's fuel efficient, it's the perfect size, the ride quality is great. Then there's the fact that unless they're modified to within an inch of their lives, the 86 is mechanically super reliable, and being a Toyota, the support network is excellent. Okay, look, loads of people complain about the lack of power in the 86, but let's get this sorted out once and for all. The problem with powerful cars here in Australia is that because we live in a bit of a nanny state, it's very easy to lose your license if you're caught speeding. So with cars like, say, the Audi S5 or the BMW M3, let alone the bonkers 800 horsepower EVO Lancer that we featured this year, because they're so quick, if you value having a driver's license, you're gonna end up spending more time decelerating or braking than you do accelerating for long periods of time, revving the car out. But with the 86, you do have to rev it out. You do have to work this car hard to explore its potential. And look, for me, that's where the fun of driving is. It's in working the car hard and feeling it respond to your inputs, not just putting your foot down and hanging on for dear life. Look, if you want a car that will dominate pretty much anything that pulls up to you at a set of lights, it's easy. Just go buy a Tesla Model S Plaid, or really any fast Tesla. But to genuinely enjoy driving all of the time, this year's pick for me, it was easy. It's the 86.
My last choice is a bit self-indulgent. I didn't really worry about reliability or servicing cost or value for money. I chose the M3. Rear-wheel drive skids for days and a four-door family car. Is it too special for collecting Macca's fries down the back of the seats? Yeah, probably, but it's quick. And it's also comfortable. Comfortable enough to daily drive, and you can drift it. It's got all the modern tech you need, and it's a good track car. It really is the perfect all-rounder, until it breaks.
Now guys, again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting ReDriven. You don't understand how much we appreciate it, but what did you think of this list? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, can you please hit all those buttons and go and share this and tell your friends and share the video as much as you can, because again, the more you guys support this channel, the more you share our videos, the more of these videos we can make, and we would love to keep making these videos. See you next time. It was our first year, good start. You know, maybe 1,000 subscribers and subscribers. It's different to subscribers. What is going on with my brain today?
The Hilux, the Amarok, the other ones. I knew I'd do that.
It's two as well. F***ing car went past.
So my choice from the cars review.
Because I'm putting all of my money into building ReDriven into being, yeah, start again, you dickhead.
My last choice is a bit self-indulgent. Indulgent?
Craved. Come on, dickhead. We'll just leave the cars in. It is a car video channel thing, so yeah.